Well, hey guys, welcome back to our book study on the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Awesome study so far. We've done 2 videos so far. We've done the intro and then we've done chapter 1 on extreme ownership. And today we're jumping into chapter 2. And I love this chapter. It says there are no bad teams, only bad leaders, right? And I think that is some good stuff. He kicks off this chapter with an awesome story about the famous Hell Week with the Navy SEALs. So again, written by 2 Navy SEALs, and they're talking about the story of a particular Hell Week where they've got these big boats, right? These inflatable boats, and you've got men, and they'd have to paddle out, and they do all kind of races, right? And he talks about two boat crews in particular. He says boat crew number 2, they're constantly winning. They're winning pretty much every one of the competitions, every one of the races. And then on the flip side, there's another one that's standing out too, is boat crew 6. And they're standing out for the opposite reason, right? They're lagging behind, but not just that, they're lagging far behind, but there's bickering going on. There's finger pointing and blame going on. They're getting frustrated with each other on the crew. And so what they decided to do is they decided to make a change. And the only change they did was they took the key leader, the leader from boat crew 2, put him on boat crew 6 leader to boat crew 2, right? The only thing changed was the leader. And what they found was that boat crew 6 now with strong leadership were actually winning the races. Boat crew 2 was still doing pretty good. They didn't win the races, but boat crew 6, and all it was a change in leadership. And we talked about in the first 2 videos that everything rises and falls on leadership. And as a leader, we must accept responsibility. Everything that is in our field is what we are responsible for. And there's a couple of things in this particular chapter that I wanted to dig out. You know, he says there are no bad units, only bad officers is what he talks about in here. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. And one of the things that I wanted to that stood out to me right here was, this is on page 54 if you're reading in the book. If you don't have the book, there'll be a link in the comments below where you can get that. But awesome book. But he talks about when leaders who epitomize extreme ownership drive their teams to achieve a higher standard of performance, they must recognize that when it comes to standards, this is important. I'm going to share something else with you too, that when it comes to standards as the leader, it's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. And man, that is so good, right? When setting expectations, no matter what has been said or written, if substandard performance is accepted and no one is held accountable, if there are no consequences, that poor performance becomes the new standard. Therefore, leaders must enforce standards. There's 2 things I want to point out right here. I'm going to read you Proverbs 11, right? Written by one of the wisest king, King Solomon. This is what he says, and it goes along right with this. It says to set high standards for someone else and then not live up to them yourself is something that God truly hates, but it pleases him when we apply the right standards of measurement. So the first thing that I want to point out right here is, I talked in the last video. If you haven't watched it, you can go check that one out. But there are some phrases that, some idioms that are out there, but there's one that leaders no longer get to say. And that idiom that you as a leader no longer get to say is that do what I say, not what I do, right? You can't apply standards to other people and not live up to them yourselves. As a leader, we set high standards for ourselves and pull other people up, right? We pull other people up. We have high expectations for ourselves, and that be the expectations for other people. And when we allow other people to get away with substandards and we don't call that out, then that's the standard that we're beginning to set. When we're not holding other people, our team members, accountable, then that's the standard that is set, and that's the standard that flows. Accountability, accountability is key, and people want accountability until it's them, right? But I think as a leader, we've got to be accountable. We got to hold our team accountable, right? But as we talked about in the last video, that one, they have to know what the expectations are. that has to be clearly articulated. You have to give them the development and the training and let them know what the standards are, what winning looks like, and then hold them to that, right? Hold them to that. And from a leadership standpoint, is there something I can do to help you get to where you need to be? Can I help you get up to this level? And then if they don't have the ability to get to that level, then you've got to do what's in the best interest of the team and the overall mission and find somebody who can, right? Another thing I want to point out right here is he says that most people want to be part of a winning team, yet they often don't know how or simply need motivation and encouragement. Teams need a forcing function to get the different members working together to accomplish the mission, and that is what leadership is all about. And I think that is some good stuff. So he also talks about every team must have junior leaders ready to step up and temporarily take on the roles and responsibility of their immediate bosses to carry on the team's mission and get the job done if and when the time arises. And I think this is so key. I call it having a leadership bench, having a leadership culture that when one of the starters has to go out, maybe they're on vacation, maybe they get injured, right? You think about your business right now. If you lead your business or the company you work for, if the top 3 leaders all of a sudden were gone, right? Maybe they moved to a beach somewhere and they decided to live there and never come back, right? What would happen to your company? What would happen to your business if you, the solopreneur, decided to do that? What would happen? Do you have leaders who could step up and step in? You think about in sports. I love sports. And I'm a big Cubs fan. And the year my Cubs won the championship, the World Series, they had a bench that was solid, right? So if one of the players, they had like 7 infielders who could start at any point. They could start on pretty much any team, right? So if they had somebody that needed to take a break, maybe an off day, somebody got injured, boom, somebody slips right in and they never miss a beat. As leaders that are building businesses and as we're leading teams, we've got to develop a culture of leadership and develop a leadership bench. So the last thing he says in here that really, really stands out is that leaders should never be satisfied. They must always strive to improve, and they must build that mindset into their team, right? Most people like status quo. As leaders, we cannot get complacent. We cannot get content. We have to have this growth mindset. Growth, my friends, is the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better. I said in the last video that you cannot rest on your best. Like, I'm going to give today my very best, and that's going to be my ceiling. But when I wake up in the morning, that is my floor. That's my floor. I'm not resting on my best. I'm going to keep pursuing, right? But he says the best teams anywhere, like the SEAL teams, are constantly looking to improve, add capability, and push the standards higher. It starts with the individual and spreads to each of the team members until this becomes the culture and the new standard. You set the standard, my friend. I said, in Proverbs, to have high standards for other people and not live up to them yourselves is something God truly hates, right? That's the culture that you will breed. One last thing on this video I want to share with you. For those that follow me, you may have heard this story before, but we've got 3 kids. We've got young kids, and our youngest son, I was doing, at the time of this video, he's in the 4th grade. I'm doing his math homework with him, right? And I'm doing this math homework with him. I was like, man, I remember learning this stuff in high school, right? That was the first time I'd ever heard of this stuff was in high school. And they're learning this in 4th grade now. And the point that I'm trying to make to go along with the book right there is that if you're not growing, if you're not, the world is changing so fast. And if you're not growing, you're not just standing still. You're getting left behind, right? You're not just standing still. You are getting left behind, my friend, because that kind of change isn't just happening in education. It's happening in every realm of society and every industry. So I want to encourage you to set the high standards for yourself and allow that to be the standard that you penetrate throughout your company, right? And make growth personal growth, your own development, and invest in that. Make that one of the top priorities. So I hope you guys have a great day. Make sure to subscribe. Comment below something that stood out to you, maybe something that stood out to you in this particular video, but maybe something that you read that stood out to you that I didn't touch on. And I'd love to hear that in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Share this with a friend or family member. And like I said, if you haven't got the book, you can find that on Audible. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, but I also put a link in the comments below where you can get that. So guys, I look forward to getting with you on the next video. Chapter 3, Belief. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and God bless.